Shavua Tov, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you all had a peaceful and a restful weekend. I'm Rolene Marks, and if you aren't already a part of our growing Israel Brief family and community, we meet here every Monday to Thursday to take a look at those top stories making headlines here in Israel. As always, we are brought to you by these guys, Lay of the Land. And more about where you can find Lay of the Land online and on social media a little later in this broadcast. Today is day 234 of Israel's war with Hamas. We remember this is a war that Israel did not start or want. This war was forced upon us on the 7th of October. And we go to the dominating headlines, which is what is happening in Rafah. Rafah, if you recall, is seen as the last real bastion of Hamas battalions. It is a part of the Gaza Strip that Israel believes needs to be dealt with. We need to destroy the remaining Hamas battalions. It is also an area we believe that hostages may have been taken to, and more about hostages coming up as well. So let's take a look at the top stories because they are dominating global headlines. Last night, the IDF say they struck a Hamas compound targeting two Hamas terrorists in what they call a precise strike within the remit of international law. Now, the Gaza Health Ministry has another story. They say that Hamas struck an area where civilians were seeking refuge in Rafah and killed 33 others. This is currently under investigation. Israel's top military prosecutor has said they are investigating a grave situation in Rafah. If you recall, last week, the IDF, with the backing of the United Nations, confirmed that Israel had managed to successfully evacuate nearly 1 million civilians from Rafah. Of course, there has been widespread international condemnation. There has been condemnation for these operations in Rafah, which the military insists have been precise and have been extremely targeted and measured. But we know that even before Israel started its incursion in Rafah, that the global community was outraged. The White House have said that they will gather information before commenting. And my recommendation to all media people out there, to everybody, is let's learn from the mistakes made by media over the past now nearly 8 months. Instead of rushing to blame, instead of rushing to judgment, yes, the optics are horrific. Let's wait for a final investigation to be concluded so that we understand exactly what happened. Remember the incidents of the Al-Ali hospital of the 17th of October and the incident of the blame on Israel for Gazan civilians who were trampled trying to get to humanitarian aid. And we found out that in the first case with the hospital, it was Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and the second case, it was Hamas. Let's wait for final information. Hamas have responded by calling it a massacre and calling on all Palestinians to march. French President Emmanuel Macron has condemned it, as has President of Turkey Erdogan, who says he will ensure that Prime Minister Netanyahu is brought to book. And I would like to remind President Erdogan that I just have a few words for you. Cyprus and journalists in your country, you might want to check that out before you make any comments. Yesterday as well, sirens rang out across central Israel for the first time in over 6 months as rockets were fired from Rafah in the Gaza Strip towards Israeli civilians, this time in the center of Israel, targeting Kfar Saba, Herzliya, Ra'anana, Hod HaSharon, Petah Tikva, Tel Aviv and south of Tel Aviv. Now, many media outlets say that this was the first time that Israel had been targeted in 6 months, and I want to correct that. This is the first time the center of Israel has been targeted by Hamas, who claimed responsibility in over 6 months. Every single day, rockets are being fired towards the southern communities, including the Gaza envelope or Otef, including Kerem Shalom crossing, which was fired on in the last 2 days, which is a humanitarian crossing, and of course by Hezbollah and Hamas, who are firing from southern Lebanon into Israel. So rockets have not abated. Meanwhile, several houses were damaged as a result of shrapnel from the rockets in Herzliya and in Ra'anana, and in Kfar Saba, a rocket fell into an empty space. Thank goodness no injuries, but very, very close to where buildings are. And I must say, from where I am in Modi'in, I could hear the Iron Dome interceptions surrounding me. Now, on Friday, the International Court of Justice gave their ruling. This is in response to South Africa bringing yet another request for provisional measures, this time to stop the Israeli incursion into Rafah. And I'm going to read you what the court said. The state of Israel shall immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Now, according to UK Lawyers for Israel, they say the order has been misinterpreted by many in the media who say that the ICJ called for an immediate halt. They say, it is clear from the wording and punctuation that the phrase which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part qualifies both parts of the requirement that Israel must halt its military offensive. They say that this qualification cannot be interpreted as a conclusion of the ICJ as to the effect of the existing operation, since it also qualifies in any other action which refers to unspecified actions in relation to which the ICJ could not have reached any such conclusion. That's lawyers for you being very, very precise with punctuation and wording. Over the weekend, the IDF announced that the bodies of 3 hostages, Orion Hernandez Radu, who is a dual Mexican and French citizen. Incidentally, he also was the boyfriend of the late Shani Luk, whose remains were recovered last week. Orion was not Jewish, he was Christian, as well as Michel Nissenbaum and Hanan Yablonka were recovered in Jabalia and brought home to Israel for burial. Both Yablonka and Nissenbaum were laid to rest yesterday. Tens of thousands attended their funerals, while Orion has been flown home to Mexico to be laid to rest. Our thoughts and our prayers are with their families and loved ones, and we are heartbroken that your hope has been destroyed, and now you complete the circle by laying your loved ones to rest. May their memories eternally be blessed. Meanwhile, the father of Hanan Yablonka said that he had found out that the IDF had recovered the body of his son through rumors on social media. The IDF yet again stressed, please do not take any news about hostages from any other sources except official sources, that being the IDF. Israel's Knesset will meet today for a first vote on whether or not to designate UNRWA, that's the United Nations Relief Works Agency, as a terrorist organization. This will still have to pass a second and a third vote if it passes, but the intention is to sever all ties with the UN agency. If you recall, over the last couple of months, evidence has been uncovered, and it has become more and more apparent that UNRWA has not only been hiding weapons, or as we saw with the remains of Shani, Amit and Ron, who were found in a tunnel inside of an UNRWA facility sponsored by Germany. But a number of UNRWA staff also participated on the 7th of October, as well as cheered on the terrorists. So it remains to be seen what is happening there, although there are some who are of the opinion that while this war lasts, we need UNRWA to be on the ground to help distribute aid. And finally, the National Unity Party Chairman Benny Gantz has called for a state inquiry, he says, into the political, the military and the intelligence situation that led up to the events of the 7th of October. He has also called for an investigation whether or not to see that to ensure that Israel is meeting its legal obligations. Now, while some may be up in arms, this is not unusual. The state comptroller already has an investigation underway. The IDF have already opened their investigation. And before there are recriminations against MK Gantz, we also have to remember that Israel is a democracy and is transparent, and therefore will investigate this. And I found very interesting where he talks about international obligations, because last week the chief prosecutor from the International Criminal Court said he wasn't confident that Israel was investigating this. And that's why he has initiated this investigation into arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Gantz. His claim was refuted by the Attorney General, but this is Benny Gantz calling on Israel to be as transparent as possible, not only for international authorities, but also for the Israeli people who are demanding answers. Now for the question of the day, and remember, if you want to ask a question, please pop it in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer it. Today's question comes from a number of different people who asked me, why is Israel's public relations so bad? And I have to speak, I have to put my journalist hat on, and I have to say that certainly throughout this war, the IDF, the government press office, the Prime Minister's office have been absolutely exemplary in ensuring that we as journalists are updated all the time with briefings, with information. The IDF chief spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, is in our homes every single night giving the update of the day, and all spokespeople have been excellent in making sure that Israel's case is fought not only in the media, on your televisions or on your radios, but also on social media as well. And it brought up an article I read last week, which is featured in Tablet magazine. It's not that Israel needs better PR. Everybody is out there working very hard. It's that Israel needs better friends, and I fully concur. In my opinion, as a working journalist, there is no excuse for journalists to be lazy and not present the full facts. And yes, we do need better friends in the media and in the international arena who hold journalists reporting to be a lot more accountable, and who also treat Israel with the same kind of tolerance or the same kind of measured response they treat other democracies. And that brings me to the end of today's Israel Brief. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook community is at Lottle's site. We're on YouTube at the Israel Brief, on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, you know I adore you. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I will see you tomorrow. God bless.